What's good, YouTube? It's Nas, and we back with another video. We rode the 300 subscribers, of course. Gonna keep going every day, but I saw something on Twitter that the new age has to watch or is growing up watching Jayson Tatum, and back then they were showing highlights of Tracy Mcgrady playing in the playoffs, playing in a playoff game, and they weren't guarding him. So now we're gonna compare Jayson. I haven't did a versus video in a minute, so I hope y'all guys enjoy. But we're gonna do Tracy Mcgrady versus Jayson Tatum in the first season, in their first 8 seasons actually, because Jayson Tatum's only 26 years old. You never know how far his career is now or is gonna go, but we're gonna compare them now and see how they align. But in his first season, Tracy Mcgrady averaged 7 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 1.5 assists. He didn't really do anything until his third season. His second season, he averaged 9 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. Didn't really do anything. His third season, he averaged 15.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. That's when the duo of him and his cousins was gelling out. They looked like a promising young duo of the future until obviously he left for Orlando. I can't remember if he got traded or not. But in his first season in Orlando, he averaged 27 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. He won Most Improved Player this season, showing that he can lead a team by himself, and he doesn't need Vince Carter, because Vince Carter was the man of that team right at that moment. And in another season, the 2001-2002 season, Tracy averaged 25.5 points per game, basically 8 rebounds, 5.5 assists. And when you talk about Tracy Mcgrady, I don't hear a lot about his playmaking, but a lot of gifted scorers like him, they don't average 5 assists or even 4 assists. They average 3 or 2. And Tracy Mcgrady managed to be one of the underrated playmakers as a scorer. And Tracy McGrady's defense is not often talked about either. They talk about how gifted of a scorer he was, but he was also an underrated defender. Like, he wasn't going to let you blow past you. And I'm pretty sure he was getting blocks, which I could look that up for yourselves. In the 2001-2002 season, Tracy averaged... In the 2002-2003 season, Tracy averaged 32 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. This being his highest scoring season. Last season was his highest rebounding season, when he averaged 8. So Tracy just continued to get better. And he was in conversations with Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant... It was either who was the best player in the league or the best shooting guard in the league at that time. It was either Kobe Bryant or Tracy McGrady. I won't even say best player in the league because Shaq was still dominating, but who was the best shooting guard in the league? And being compared to Kobe Bryant now, because Kobe Bryant is the second best shooting guard of all time. So Tracy McGrady being in that combo, people don't talk about Tracy McGrady enough, and Tracy McGrady was a bucket. But in the 2003-2004 season, Tracy averaged 28 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. His last season in Orlando, and he put on a show in Orlando and then he went to Houston. The last season we're gonna cover, and that's the last season he played over 75 games, which is crazy. He averaged 25.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. And we all know what would to come for his Houston days. He would average 24 for about 2 more seasons, and then the numbers would decline, and that would be really it for Tracy. But Tracy is a legend. Tracy's accolades speak for themselves. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a 7-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ in the 2002-2003 season and the 2003-2004 season. He won the Most Improved Player, like I said, in 2001. He was a 2-time All-NBA first team in 2002-2003, 3-time All-NBA second team in 2001, 2004, and 2007, which we didn't cover. He was All-NBA, and that's really it for Tracy McGrady. Next, we're getting into Jayson Tatum. In his rookie season, Jayson Tatum averaged 14 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 1.5 assists. This being the season where Gordon Hayward went down, and Jayson Tatum's minutes obviously went up, him being the 3rd overall pick. He was expected to play behind Gordon Hayward when he found himself starting, and he made the most of his opportunity. And that young team that season in Boston was special because we know Kyrie Irving obviously went down that season, and they had a hell of a run to the conference finals. They could have made the finals if it wasn't for number 23 in Cleveland, LeBron James that season. The 2018 season, he was the demon. And you can't really say that they're at full. They were up 2-0, but it's LeBron James, and they were up. They had a chance to close it out at home at Game 7. They were also 3-2. They choked that series, but we're not gonna even talk about it because they were all young. It was Terry Rozier, Jaylen Brown with the high top of death. Marcus Smart still on that team. I can't remember if Marcus Morris was on that team or not. But Al Horford was on that team, and it was a really well-rounded team. Imagine if Kyrie and Gordon Hayward never went out that season. I don't know. But in the 2018-19 season, the Celtics had a down year, or a disaster year. They were expected to make the conference finals again. They didn't, obviously. He averaged 15.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. This being him not being the number one option still. Where he was starting. I remember that starting lineup, I think. But he wasn't obviously the main focal point because it was Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving was at his peak at that time. You couldn't tell Kyrie Irving would try to take the ball out of Kyrie Irving's hands. Like, come on. But in the next season, when he finally got the mantle of the Celtics, he averaged 23.5 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. They made it back to the conference finals, and they lost to the Heat, obviously, but they didn't. They put up one hell of a show. I remember that block that Bam had, but Jayson Tatum still had a great series. But in the 2020-2021 season, Tatum averaged 26.5 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. And I feel like there's different parts of Tatum's career where he changed up his whole play style. Because obviously when he was younger, or not even younger, he's still 26, but when he was around 19, 20, he was a much slimmer player. And he bulked up to be able to finish in the paint more, because if you look it up, his efficiency numbers in the paint when he was still skinny, they were bad. He couldn't finish. He wasn't strong enough to fight off defenders, and he got that muscle to eventually do that. But the jump shot came down a little bit. It's back up now because he fixed everything. But right now, I just feel like Tatum settles a lot. He is 6'10", like 240, shooting over 6'1" guys. I don't really understand it, but that's the Celtics play style. But in the 2021-2022 season, Tatum averaged 27 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. This being the season he went to the finals, and they lost to Stephen Curry. They were up 2-0, but hey, man, they got another chance. But when you think about it, Tatum could really have 2 rings right now. They were supposed to win this year. They were favored to win this year, and they didn't get it done. In 2022-2023 season, he averaged 30 points per game, basically 9 rebounds and 4.5 assists. This being the season where they lost to the Miami Heat again. But they almost came back down 3-0, which has never been done before. That I remember that Derek White game winner, but Jimmy Butler closed it out, Game 7. And they came back even better this season. They came back next season on a mission. He averaged 27 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. And it was really a toss-up between him and Jaylen Brown for that Finals MVP. He obviously fought for it the first couple games. He was stinking it up, but he managed to tee up, and he made it a race at least. But he has a ring to show for it. Tracy doesn't have that, if you want to be technical. In this season right now, he's averaged at 29 points per game, 9.5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. And being the second seed in the Eastern Conference behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. But Jayson Tatum's accolades at 26 speak for themselves. He's 5-time All-Star, 2022 All-Star Game MVP, 4-time All-NBA selection. He won a championship in 2024, 2-time gold medalist in 2020 and 2024. And Tatum is still 26 years old, so there's a lot more accolades that could come with Tatum. But I want to know right now, who you got in their first 8 seasons? Jayson Tatum or Tracy McGrady? Who's a better player? Let me know down below. Subscribe. I got some videos right here. If you enjoyed this video you just watched, video on the right, video on the left, and click on it.